they really did not need to sign Ayuk. They should try to trade him. I mean, between Jawan Jennings and Ricky Pearsall, and that was an interesting. They felt like they needed him, but evidently they don't.
You're tuned in to the Ross Tucker Football Podcast, guiding your gridiron journey, none other than your host, former NFL lineman Ross Tucker.
Oh, yeah, it is. But it's not just any Ross Tucker Football Podcast. It is a Power Rankings Tuesday. Our second to last Power Rankings Tuesday, by the way. I think that means it's our penultimate Power Rankings Tuesday. As a reminder, we do, however, continue to go 5 days a week, all through until the Super Bowl, which means when there's no more Power Rankings, we'll either have a guest or we'll dive into more of your emails. So send them to me, ross@rosstucker.com. We'll do the final Power Rankings next week. There's actually been a lot of movement at the bottom of the Power Rankings because I don't know where to put those teams. There's a lot of bad teams. Several of them got smoked. A couple of them won. I don't know, man. You guys tell me. Please check us out on social media. That's where my excellent, stellar producer, Jack, that's where he posts the highlight clips of each show, right? The 2 or 3 clips from each show that we think are the best. So it's definitely worth following at Ross Tucker Pod on social media, whatever platform you happen to be on, or at Ross Tucker NFL, since I so frequently repost or share or whatever. We will have a new winner this week. I do have a bunch of new press passes that I have accumulated. I love sending these press passes to you guys signed. It's like a cool collector's item. It's something from a specific game nobody's ever seen before. Most of you have never seen a press pass in your life. So all you have to do is rate and review the show and then forward the email to me, ross@rosstucker.com, or engage on social media in any way. Make a YouTube comment, youtube.com/RossTuckerNFL, or take advantage of any of our stellar sponsors. You can use the code Ross on the Game Time app. You can go to westshorehome.com/Ross. You can just send me a picture of you drinking Labatt Blue Light or Smirnoff. I mean, there's a lot of ways that you can win. Ross@RossTucker.com. Big show time.
The Big Show.
All right, Ross, I don't think any of us expected this to be as great of a game as it was. The Lions, they hold off the Niners 40-34.
Well, what were you expecting?
I mean, just, it's week 17. The Niners are out playoff contention. A couple guys banged up. I don't think it was going to be as close as it was, personally.
Well, it was an absolute shootout. I think they might have scored, I'm trying to remember, I think they might have scored touchdowns on the first 5 drives. It was 21-14 Niners at one point. The Lions could not stop the Niners to save their life. And the same is true as well. It felt like Purdy was on fire. Purdy was going up and down the field. It was a lot of Ricky Pearsall, actually, which I think is interesting. Man, they really did not need to sign Ayuk. They should try to trade him. I mean, between Jawan Jennings and Ricky Pearsall, and that was an interesting. They felt like they needed him, but evidently they don't. I guess they didn't really know Jawan Jennings was this good. They didn't know what they had in Pearsall. I can't remember when he got shot, which obviously would have affected things for this year as well. But that was one of my takeaways from last night. The Lions, though, their offense remains aggressive and incredible. I mean, it's like Seinfeld with Terry Hatcher. They're real and they're spectacular. I mean, Ben Johnson, it's so impressive. Some of the things he does. If you didn't see the highlight of the lateral to Jameson Williams for a touchdown, it was incredible. Jahmyr Gibbs had a big game. I think maybe the most interesting aspect of the game. Do you say interesting or interesting, Jack?
I say, I don't. Now that you say it, I can't think of which one I actually say. I'll have to think on it. I don't know. Interesting?
The reason why I just said that is because I say interesting, and I just said interesting, I think for the first time in my life. I have no idea why. I have no idea why I just said interesting when I say interesting. That is crazy. How does that happen? I'm almost 46. I just used a word a different way. Anyway, what might be the most interesting aspect, or interesting, I think is probably the more proper pronunciation, is just the fact that Dan Campbell played all of his guys the whole game, all out, even though the only game that matters is now just 5 days away. The game that matters is Sunday night against the Vikings, and it's 5 days away. Yet, last night, Dan Campbell, I love Dan Campbell, former teammate for a brief time, but it's still kind of wild that he went all out last night with those guys. Nobody got injured, so that's a positive. And I think you can make an argument that they, stayed in rhythm, stayed aggressive, all those things. But there was more wear and tear on their body, and they're not going to be as rested for Sunday night. I think the hope is that that's what was best for Sunday night, to play those guys last night, and then they get the bye, they get the rest if they get the win. I guess we'll have to see. Anyway, in the second half, the Niners couldn't keep up anymore, right? Like the Lions just kept going. And the Lions settled for a couple field goals, and the Lions got stopped once in the red zone, but they just kept coming, man. I love the Lions. They just keep coming, and the Niners couldn't handle it. Brock Purdy had multiple interceptions to Kirby Joseph, who's a fantastic player. At least the Lions have those safeties who are fantastic and make a big difference. And then even when Purdy did get him down there without the interception, Jake Moody, we just talked about this, Jack, with Jay Feely. That's why I had Jay Feely on. Do not draft kickers high. Do not do it. The return on investment when you draft a kicker high is horrible. The last notable thing I guess I would say about the game is that Brock Purdy has some type of elbow nerve injury. It looked at, though, SICScore.com, SICScore.com, Sports Injury Central, my guy, Dr. Chow, at Pro Football Doc. It didn't look like it was a serious injury. He thinks it's more like a funny bone thing as opposed to something to really be concerned about. So that was really good news.
It's time for the all-important Power Rankings. The worst team in the history of the NFL is...
All right, Ross, new team at the top. Well, top of my list, bottom of the rankings. Tennessee Titans, 32.
Yeah, maybe I should have done that a little bit differently considering that's my game on Sunday. I guess I'm not ingratiating myself with Titans fans, but that is my game on Sunday. My last game for CBS this year with Tom McCarthy and Jay Feely. It is the Texans at the Titans. Interestingly, D'Amico Ryans has said that the Texans starters are going to play. I'll be curious to see how much they play, but he says the Texans starters are going to play. So they probably need to after those last couple losses. They got to do something positive where they feel good about themselves. At any rate, Titans are struggling. I don't know. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I would say there's like 9 teams at the bottom of my power rankings. You tell me. I could put them in any order you want me to put them in. I have the Raiders, Jags, and Giants higher because they won this week. And then I have other teams that lost badly like the Patriots or Browns or whatever, lower, the Jets. To me, that they're all pretty much equally bad. They're all like in 3-winville for the most part.
31st in 3-winville is the Cleveland Browns. What do you think about the Browns there at 31?
I think that, by the way, that was so good, Jack. For those of you that don't watch on youtube.com/Ross Tucker NFL, I have trained Jack that every once in a while I might have to take a sip of water or blow my nose or something. So he was paying attention. He was focused. He noticed I took a sip of water. So he extended that by 3 seconds. Now I won't say it again because that the whole point of it is to not point it out. But I love that Jack was locked in bright and early on a Tuesday morning, New Year's Eve. By the way, I'll say it again tomorrow. Happy New Year to everyone. I don't know if we'll do this at 7 a.m. tomorrow. We'll see. I'll be, I don't know, my daughters are probably going to want me to stay up till midnight. I'll certainly be watching the Penn State game against Boise State, that's for sure. I mean, we can't be doing this, by the way. We can't be scheduling games I have to watch during New Year's Eve parties. What are we doing here? I mean, come on, college football playoff. What am I even talking about? Oh, the Browns. Yeah, DTR, not the guy. That's pretty clear from what we've seen from Dorian Thompson-Robinson. I think he's, unfortunately, I don't even know if he knows this, but he's kind of proving he's not even a backup in the NFL. I mean, these are vital games for him, and it's like sink or swim, and he's sinking, unfortunately. I never like to see that. I want every guy to make the most of their opportunities and get contracts and all that stuff.
30th, Chicago Bears.
I mean, most important hire for them in a long time with that head coach hire. The Bears. I mean, they need to nail it. It needs to be Ben Johnson. Not only do you make your team better, you make the Lions worse. But the Bears have a reputation and or track record. First of all, they have a reputation for not wanting to pay for a top-notch head coach. Secondly, as Kyle Brandt said on Friday, they usually go with unique, I think is a good word to describe it, unique hires, I guess I'll say.
29th, New England Patriots.
They toggle back and forth quite a bit. When they played so well against the Colts, I had them up higher. They played bad in my game against the Cardinals. I dropped them down. They could have beat the Bills easily. I put them back up a few spots. Then they just got annihilated by the Chargers. I think I'm bad luck for the Patriots. I mean, the two games I called, they laid an egg in both games. It was not good. So anyway, I now have them fourth from the bottom. It's hard for me to go away from the things I've seen in the two games I called where they looked as bad as anybody.
28th is the New York Jets.
By the way, we'll get into this more later in the week, Jack, but the notable thing for the Patriots is that right now they have the number one overall pick because of these other teams like the Giants winning. So that's like the saving grace for Patriots fans now. The Jets are an absolute mess. You got Sauce Gardner telling people that he wouldn't tell T. Higgins to come to the Jets. Garrett Wilson supposedly doesn't want to be back with the Jets if Aaron Rodgers is there. Hey, guess what, Garrett? I don't think you have much to worry about. I would be very surprised if Aaron Rodgers is back with the Jets. Yo, so Jack, check this out. I've been telling you about the Game Time app for a long time. You can get in to my game on Sunday, Titans-Texans, $19, $16. There's actually a seat upper level in the corner for $10 on the Game Time app. So I'm telling you guys, there's some good deals week 18. You can absolutely get the all-in pricing. You can see what the view looks like from your seat. You know you're getting the lowest price guarantee. If it's not, Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code Ross for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. So again, create an account and redeem code ROSS for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game Time. I'm a huge fan. Smirnoff knows there's no I in football. Football's a we thing. An experience best enjoyed together with good drinks and good folks. Smirnoff's the world's #1 vodka and an official vodka partner of the NFL. And this is a great week to enjoy some Smirnoff cocktails. It's New Year's Eve. It's New Year's Day. It's college football playoff. It's NFL Week 18. This holiday, when you're enjoying the game and your cocktails, please make sure to drink responsibly. Smirnoff, we do game days. Please drink responsibly. Smirnoff number 21 vodka, distilled from grain, 40% alcohol by volume. The Smirnoff Company, New York, New York. Please do not share with anyone under legal drinking age.
27th is the Saints.
They dropped off. Darren Rizzi, the interim head coach, kind of gave him a boost there for a little bit, but they lost too many guys. And don't really have a chance to remain competitive in these games as a result.
A fan base that probably wishes they were 32, New York Giants, 26.
Well, this is interesting because the Giants and Jags are back to back, and every week I just do my power rankings, and then I send them to Jack, and he tells me which team I gave the biggest upgrade to. And it's the back-to-back teams. It's the G-Men and the Jags. They both won, and I moved them up ahead of these other teams. So let me be very clear about this. I'm not really upgrading these teams. Yes, they're the West Shore upgrade of the week because they both won games and they both have dynamic receivers from LSU, Malik Neighbors, Brian Thomas. This has much to do with a bunch of teams laying eggs like the Jets and Saints and Patriots and Browns as it does any perceived or real upgrade for the Giants and Jags, who really just significantly hurt their draft position. I will say, though, the West Shore upgrade, Jack, is presented, of course, by westshorehome.com/Ross. Only this week, West Shore looking to reduce inventory. Absolutely crazy. You have to schedule your appointment by today. So hopefully you guys are listening to this. They'll give you an additional $2,000 off all shower and bath projects. You have to do it today. That's why I'm telling you this today. Plus, if you go to westshorehome.com/Ross, you get the extra $1,000 off. Do me a favor, do yourself a favor. Go to westshorehome.com/Ross and schedule the appointment and then see what you want to do after that. But at least schedule it to get the new bathroom or the new shower or the new doors or windows or whatever.
24th, Las Vegas Raiders.
They've won back-to-back games now. The Chargers are going to be all out to win this game because the Chargers want the 5th seed. Although, actually, I think the Chargers, that's dependent on what happens with the Steelers. So the Chargers might not be all out, which makes it very, very interesting for this game. The Raiders might end the season with 3 straight wins, which will give Mark Davis a little bit more to think about as it relates to Antonio Pierce as their head coach.
23rd, Indianapolis Colts.
Boy, things are not good there. I was just there 2 weekends ago, and they beat the Titans and felt like they still had a chance at the playoffs, but then one loss to the Giants later, and Anthony Richardson not playing, and comments by people like Pat McAfee, it doesn't sound real good in Indy right now.
22nd, Carolina Panthers.
I don't think there was any chance, Jack, earlier in the year that I thought the Carolina Panthers would not be one of the 10 worst teams in the NFL, but I don't think they are one of the 10 worst teams in the NFL. I think it's pretty impressive, actually, that they've been able to, they would beat these other bad teams below them. They're better than them.
21st after last night is the Niners.
Well, the Niners are clearly better than all these teams below them. They might be a few spots better. They might be better than the Cowboys or Cardinals or Seahawks. This is where I think the Colts are where, you get to decent teams. Raiders and below, those are bad teams. Now, Colts, Panthers, Niners, this is the middle class of the NFL for me.
20th, Dallas Cowboys.
How about them Cowboys? It really seems like there's a chance they bring Mike McCarthy back as head coach. What I think is the most interesting aspect of that is how much guys like Dak Prescott and Micah Parsons, all these guys, they really believe in him and like him and are stumping for him. I can't say I was expecting that, but that's a very cool thing for Mike McCarthy that those guys feel that way.
19th is the Arizona Cardinals.
I feel like they're a solid team. I really do. I feel like the Cardinals are a solid football team. They easily could have gotten that win over the Rams. Unfortunately now they, like the Cowboys, they cannot end with a winning record, which would have been a really nice accomplishment. But it still would be cool if they win the game this week to get to 8 wins and double their win total from last year.
18th is the Seattle Seahawks.
So the Seahawks, they kind of came to the finish line with a whimper, right? I mean, I know they won the game against the Bears 6-3, but that game was kind of ugly, and the Seahawks, they're out of it. They might go 10-7 and not make the playoffs, which with 7 teams is actually pretty remarkable.
17th, Miami Dolphins.
Miami Dolphins, Miami Dolphins, Miami Dolphins, number 17. You know, the Dolphins, that was an impressive win, I thought, to beat the Browns by that much without Tua Tagovailoa. You know, if Huntley had been able to play that well earlier in the season, you know, or if they had Huntley earlier, if they had a backup quarterback capable of playing that well earlier in the season, they would be in the playoffs.
16th, the Atlanta Falcons.
Everything about that game and that loss was excruciating. They had it right there for the taking. They did not take advantage of opportunities. And Raheem Morris, I mean, he very likely cost his team a playoff berth with his clock management at the end of the game. I mean, that is bad. Really, really, really bad.
15th is the Cincinnati Bengals.
And they're staying alive, staying alive. Ooh, 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 ooh. Staying alive. Yeah. So like that, when I do that, Jack, I think the teams are funny. When I do that, that's when people like want to pull over in their cars. That's when they want to vomit in their hands. Like that was horrible. Absolutely horrible. Please just laugh at me if you can't laugh with me. Bengals and Dolphins still alive this week, although I still think it's highly unlikely. The Bengals need both the Broncos and Dolphins to lose. I doubt it.
14th, Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Looks like they are going to win that division. I'd be very surprised if they lost to the Saints, although stranger things have happened. So I guess we shall see. But they're going to be a tough out. When Baker's firing on all cylinders, man, that is fun. They're going to end up playing more than likely against, you know, the Vikings or the Lions. That's a juicy matchup. I'm looking forward to that. These playoff games are going to be amazing.
13th, Houston Texans.
Yeah, they're in a bad way, which is why I think D'Amico Ryans wants to play the starters a little bit in this game against the Titans. Maybe a lot of it. I don't know. For me, hopefully he plays them as much as he wants to, so it's entertaining for me. But they gotta get back on track to feel like they have a chance in the postseason here.
Broncos, 12th.
They have a good team. I feel like it'd be a shame if they don't make the playoffs. I'd be surprised if they lose to the Chiefs, but you never know. Carson Wentz is talented enough to come out there and play really well.
Steelers, 11.
Here we go. Dun, dun. Steelers are obviously coming to the finish here with a whimper. They really want to win Saturday night. You want to get that 5 seed. You do not want to be the 6 seed.
10th, LA Rams.
It's remarkable to see the Rams have 10 wins. You know, I just didn't look at them that way. What were they, 1-4 at one point? I feel like the second year in a row that they just kept playing, and now they're in a good position.
9th is LA Chargers.
San Diego Superchargers, San Diego Chargers. Hey, kudos to Harbaugh. The guy can flat out coach, culture builder, changes the culture in the building. Those guys believe, and now here they are.
8th, Washington Commanders.
Super impressive for them to make the playoffs and to be where they are. You know, they need to win against the Cowboys to get the 6th seed as opposed to the 7th seed. Dan Quinn said they really want the 6th seed.
7th, Baltimore Ravens.
Ravens are capable of going to the Super Bowl. I think now we are into the range of teams, 7 and above, that I can see going to the Super Bowl, and the Ravens are absolutely one of them.
6th, Green Bay Packers.
Dun, 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 dun. Go, Pack, go. Man, I had them 2 last week. They dropped 4 spots. I felt like they were on a roll. I felt like they were maybe, had a chance at the Super Bowl, and they still do, but that was disappointing, especially defensively against the Vikings. Very disappointing.
5th, Buffalo Bills.
The Bills are not finishing as strong as you would like. I mean, look, they blew out the Jets, but it doesn't really matter. They need to be healthy. It's so funny because the New England game, the Bills aren't going to try to win. They're going to rest their guys, but I don't know that New England wants to win that game either.
4th, Detroit Lions.
Yeah, and the only reason why they're 4th, we all know this, is because of the issues with their defense, unfortunately, but they might be able to outscore people enough to win it.
3rd, Philadelphia Eagles.
Eagles, Eagles. Should I do that or should I do fly, Eagles, fly? That's like too long.
Too long. Eagles is quick and short.
Yeah, everybody gets it. The only thing I don't like about Eagles, Eagles, is the Jets do the same thing. Jets, Jets. But I grew up going to those. Anyway, I'd be very surprised if the Eagles played their starters in this game, although that's all they wanted to talk to me about on the radio is whether or not they should go for the record with Saquon.
2nd, Minnesota Vikings.
The Minnesota Vikings. They are legitimately good, both sides of the ball. It's been an entire season. Darnold's the real deal. If they get the number 1 seed, they have a great chance to go to the Super Bowl.
1st, Kansas City Chiefs.
Yeah, I mean, come on. Who else are we going to put number 1? The Chiefs deserve it. They just win, baby. They take it from the Raiders, and they just win, baby. Love it. Got a special episode for you guys tomorrow. Even Money Podcast will record shortly. Make sure you're all over that. Other than that, I think we're done here.
Thanks for tuning in to the Ross Tucker Football Podcast. Make sure to also check out Even Money, Fantasy Feast, and College Draft, all on the DraftKings Network, YouTube, or subscribe to the podcast on your favorite platform.
Shout out myfrontpagestory.com. You guys know how I feel about myfrontpagestory.com. Get way ahead of the game on Valentine's Day. Knock it out right now. Make a New Year's resolution to stop procrastinating and get the best Valentine's Day gift ever. Myfrontpagestory.com. Backofficescheduler.com. HumanHeadNYC.com. Sporticulture.